I can live wherever I want. It doesn't matter if I'm exploiting the visa. I'm in this third world country. You know, I'm just going to sit around and be a hippie and do yoga all day, and I don't need to earn any money. And then something like this happens, and they're on Facebook going, I can't even afford a plane ticket home. I can't afford a plane ticket home. I've got no job. Hey, what is up, guys? This is Brett here from brettdev.com. On this channel, I talk about life as an expat, how you can become an expat and all of that stuff. If you're not new here, but you haven't yet subscribed, then make sure you hit the subscribe button underneath this video. And also, if you do want to become an expat, then make sure you check out the link in the top left corner of this video. It's going to be very, very helpful for you. Right, so as a lot of you guys know, this channel is basically Thailand content, pretty much. I've had some videos where I've gone to Vietnam and done some travel style videos, but for the most part it's Thailand. However, I wanted to make this video today talking about this news that's coming out of Vietnam, because I think there are some lessons in it that we can all take from and that we can learn from. So what is happening? What is happening in Vietnam? Well, I just woke up this morning and I saw some news. I went onto some Facebook groups. I'm a member of groups in Vietnam. Some like in Da Nang, in Hanoi. I just joined different groups in Southeast Asian countries. And what's essentially happening is all the foreigners, all of the expats that live in Vietnam, they're being forced to leave. They're being told to get out. Essentially what's happened is, before the COVID period, there was a rule in place that in Vietnam, you could only stay on a tourist visa for like, I think it was 60 days, and then you could extend it by 30, exactly the same as the Thai tourist visa. And there might have also been a rule that you can only stay in the country on a tourist visa for 6 months at the most per year. Now, this rule also applied to Thailand, but it was never enforced very well. In 2019, before the whole global situation occurred, Thailand were starting to enforce it. And I'm going to get onto that in just a bit, because I do think they're going to start enforcing these sort of things again. And that's something that you can prepare for, and that's something that obviously I want to talk about in the video, but we'll get to that in just a second. Now, this affects both tourists and retirees in Vietnam, because unlike in Thailand, Vietnam has no retiree visa for people that are retired. So all retirees in Vietnam are essentially on tourist visas, and most people that live there are also on tourist visas. So from what I can make out is, over the last 18 months, people got trapped there, and maybe even before this whole thing happened, there was a loophole. A bit like what Thailand used to be like a few years ago, where people could just go in and out of the country, they could just keep running extensions and just live there indefinitely on tourist visas. However, it's not actually legal. Like I say, it's just like a law that a lot of these countries have, but they just don't enforce it. That is until they decide they want to enforce it. And that is what they've done. So people there now that have been there for 18 months on tourist visas, they've gone to renew their tourist visa or to do their extension or whatever, and the government have basically said to them, we're not renewing any tourist visas because you're not a tourist. And they've got no option other than to leave, basically. Now, I definitely don't want this video to be one of those, you know, get legal or get out sort of things, because I remember when I first came to Thailand, I would go on the forums, and there's always been like, you know, if you're ever going to be in a country living on tourist visas, then you're always going to be at risk of being kicked out because you're not actually a tourist. But I remember going on the forums back in the day, and there'd be all the retirees in there going, well, if you're not legal, get out, you know. And they would only say that because they were eligible for a retirement visa. And it was such a dickhead thing to do, because people were just trying to figure out a way to stay in the country that they liked. And they just would write this stuff and feel like they were like better than all the other foreigners because they should so happen to have been over 50 and could get the retirement visa. Well, a couple of years after that, Thailand said, well, if you want a retirement visa, now you have to have 800,000 baht in the bank, and you have to have medical insurance, and it has to cover you for X amount. And all those dickheads that were like writing in there going, well, get legal or get out, they had to get out themselves, right? So I'm not making this video like coming at it from that standpoint. I'm literally just want to discuss it and talk about, you know, fallbacks and having safety nets and having ways out of certain situations, which is what you should all be aware of, and you should all be planning for, and you should all be prepared for. You know, even if you are above board, even if you do have proper legal visas to stay in countries like Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, you're still at risk of being asked to leave. Okay, so I'll give you an example. If you get a marriage visa in Thailand, you still have to have either 40,000 baht a month or 400,000 baht in savings. And the rules change, right? So I remember back in the day, you could get the, basically to prove that you had the 40,000 baht a month, you needed a letter from your embassy. And then all of a sudden, like a declaration from an embassy. You couldn't just show a bank statement, and they wouldn't process it without the declaration. And a few years back, a few embassies around the world, I think like America, the UK and stuff, said, oh, we're not issuing those letters anymore. So then everybody that was here on a marriage visa couldn't stay here on that visa, right? Because the rules changed. So that's a perfectly legal visa, but there's still hugely strict requirements, and the rules can still change in an instant. I made the point of the retirement visa. Before, I don't think you needed the 800,000 baht in the bank, which is the equivalent of about $26,000. And I don't think you needed the medical insurance. And then all of a sudden, a lot of retirees, especially like very old retirees that were like in their 70s and 80s and 90s, they can't get medical coverage because they're so old, for example. Even a dependency visa. So even if you have children in these countries, you still can't stay in the country unless you have financial proof. Okay, so it's not like the West, guys. It's not like, oh, if you have a kid, fuck it, here's a passport, here's benefits, stay here forever, you're now a British citizen. Even if you have children in Thailand, it is an absolute pain in the ass. You can have kids, you can be here for 20 years, and you've still got to go and check in every 90 days to show that you live there. You've still got to renew your visa every single year. You've still got to have financial proof that you earn X amount each month, or that you have a certain amount of savings in the bank, or whatever it is, depending on the visa. And this is why you should always, in my opinion, have a backup plan. So you should always be able to go back to your home country if you need to. If you're married and if you have children, you should always, you know, if you have a kid in Thailand, the first thing you should do is get them a passport for your home country. Okay, so you can take your wife and your children back to the home country where you live, because you never know what's going to happen. You don't want to be separated from your family, obviously. You know, I talk a lot about becoming a digital nomad on this channel and living like a digital nomad. And the whole goal, the whole objective that I would say you should have if you want to be a digital nomad, being a digital nomad is not about coming to a country so that you can live like a peasant, okay? It's not about, oh, well, I'm going to move to Vietnam because then I only have to earn $300 a month and I can just be lazy and do yoga all day and find my inner peace. And, you know, there's people that do this, believe it or not. If you want to become a digital nomad and you want to come and live in these countries because of the lower cost of living, your ultimate goal should still be to earn a lot of money. You should want to be earning enough money so that if something like this happens, well, number one, you have much less likelihood of being affected because you can actually afford it. Or number two, you have the money to go somewhere else. The whole purpose of becoming a digital nomad is so that you can go where you're treated best, as the nomad capitalist says. I always find the people that freak out about these visa changes the most are those types of people that I just described. You know, they're typically lefties that just go around the world carrying their naive opinions and beliefs, trying to enforce their, you know, socialist agendas on everybody else, and move into countries like Vietnam, not earning any money, totally entitled. I can live wherever I want. It doesn't matter if I'm exploiting the visa. I'm in this third world country. You know, I'm just going to sit around and be a hippie and do yoga all day, and I don't need to earn any money. And then something like this happens, and they're on Facebook going, I can't even afford a plane ticket home. I can't afford a plane ticket home. I've got no job. Absolutely crazy, guys. Just madness. Are these rules and policies enforced badly? Sometimes, yeah. Vietnam, we're not renewing any tourist visas. Some people are rocking up there like 3 days to renew their tourist visa, and the government are like, no, we're not renewing them. Yeah, but I've got to renew it and got to be out. What am I going to do in 2 days when it runs out? Get out of the country. That's a bad way to do it. But they do it that way anyway, guys. So are there things to complain about? Absolutely. Should they do it that way? No. But they are. And the key is, you know, have your backup plan. Be prepared for these scenarios, these situations. That's why I wanted to make this video. It's not so much about Vietnam. I mean, Vietnam has just highlighted the issue, which is a good thing in a way for future travelers. But you need to know about this. You need to always be thinking one step ahead. What am I going to do if that don't work? What am I going to do if that don't work? What am I going to do if that don't work? You should always have a backup plan, even if you are on a perfectly legal visa and currently right now you are meeting the current requirements, because they can always change. That's all for now, guys. If you liked the video, then give it a thumbs up. Like I said, if you do want to become an expat, if you do want to earn more money, because money is the only important thing. It's the only fucking thing that will save you when you're living in these countries. Cash is king. Check out that link because that's going to help you earn money. And also check out that video because if you like this one, you probably like that one as well. That's all for now, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.